I'm Samora, and I'm just about to go into 11th grade and start the DP program. And I realized that I hadn't shot my personal project video yet. I wanted to shoot a personal project video to kind of educate others about it, like people who are going into 10th grade, because like I had so many questions and advice is always good, so I just wanted to put my 2 cents in, and without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, first question, what is the personal project? This is for people who don't really know about it, and also people who are about to do it, they might still not know certain things. So basically, the personal project is a project that was put together by the IB, which is the International Baccalaureate organization, and I'm looking down at my notes. Basically, the project is meant to be like a closing of the MYP program. You're meant to use like all the skills that you've learned from 6th grade to 10th grade to create a project that means a lot to you, and you're given a supervisor based on what topic you decide you want to pursue. You get to choose the topic. You have to choose first. Okay, firstly, you choose something that interests you, and you have to try to link that with an area of interaction, AOI. For my personal project, I did health and social education, and yeah, so that's what I did for mine. And so what you do is you decide what you want to do, like what you're interested in, and then you decide which AOI fits best with it, and then you have to kind of mold your project to kind of to actually make sense with your AOI. Okay, so basically after they do that, then the personal project coordinator will give the teachers a list of all the different projects and students, and the teacher will decide which one they're interested in helping with and supervising. The essay is like a super, super big part of the personal project. It counts for most of your grade. Like, the project is more of a way just to, it's just necessary to write the project. But the project is what really counts for your grade, and it's the thing that most of the criteria is based on. And yeah, so I believe my word count last year for grade 10 was 3,500 words. It had to be 3,500 or less, no more. And yeah, basically, it's really, really important. You have to have all of your information in there while still staying under the word count, which was actually really hard. I had to delete about 500 words. And yeah, so basically you have your table of contents, then you have an introduction where you talk about why you want to do the personal project. Then you talk about, I think I may have thrown away all of my IB sheets, so I'm telling you by memory. Then basically there's like, you talk about your plan and how you're going to go about doing it, your goal, process. I think of it a lot of, it's kind of like a science project in a way, because you have certain steps and there's certain sections and you just fill in those sections. And I liked writing the project, and in order to really do well on that essay, I suggest that you guys really use your project journal. It will come, not project journal, your process journal. It'll come in really handy, and also it is graded. The process journal is a way to kind of keep everything in order and allow you to remember everything, because this is a project that goes on from like from September all the way until May. So it's really important that you are able to remember everything that you've done, and the process journal is a great way to do that. And it's also a great way for supervisors and also the other teachers that are going to grade your project to see how you really did and how you progressed, because it's all about the process. It's not just about the end product. So, choosing a project. When you choose a project, it should be something you're interested in. It shouldn't just be something you're like, oh, this sounds like it's good. Like, because this is something you have to be motivated to do as well. And if you're not motivated to do it, you won't complete it and it won't be fun. And so I chose to write a book because I love reading, as you can probably tell by all the books behind here. And also, when I was little, I always wanted to write books. So this was a way for me to write a book. And then as I said earlier, I did health and social education. And basically, I wrote a book about mental illnesses in teens, a fictional book. And yeah, so that's what I did. I was able to educate people about mental illnesses, and that's where the health and social education came in, because I was educating about health to people around me, my community. And so, yeah. So when you choose your project, make sure it's something that you can do. Like, make sure it's something you really believe you can achieve, because otherwise, like, though you will not get completely marked down for not completing your project, it's best if you do complete your project. And so yeah, so think about that. Be like, okay, will I be able to do this? If you really don't think you'd be able to do this, then don't do it. I remember there was one guy who chose to do, was it an aqua car? I believe it was an aqua car, and basically it was supposed to drive on land and also be able to drive in the water. I'm not a boat person. But yeah, and that's actually a really cool project because I live on an island, so the ocean's right there. But that didn't work out. His project, he did his best, but in the end he didn't actually succeed in creating something that worked. I can't really think of anything from my year because everybody in my class, they had great projects and they all completed them. Well, one guy didn't complete his, but they were all achievable goals, and that's just really something I want to stress. I really want to stress for people to really choose something that they'd be able to achieve, and you have to know yourself and know what you're capable of. Your IB coordinator they will give you some certain deadlines, but you can also set certain deadlines for yourself to make sure that you're keeping on track. And I do suggest this. Like, I had like certain deadlines. Hey, I want to do this by then, this by then, this by then. But though I didn't always stick to the deadlines, I think it was really helpful because it was kind of like, hey, you're falling behind, and it was kind of a way to motivate me to be like, you need to be doing this. You need to start working harder and all that kind of stuff. So I do suggest just making some deadlines, making a list of things you want to have done by a certain date. But also keep in mind that 10th grade is harder than 11th, not 11th grade, sorry. 10th grade is harder than 9th grade and all those years before that. Your teachers give you a lot of work. Your teachers give you a lot of work, and they're not going to give you less work because you're doing the personal project, because they really want you to start learning how to use your time efficiently. So yeah, so basically you need to really plan that and follow your deadline as much as you can. And it will help you so you don't fall behind, because you don't want to be writing your essay the night before it's due. You don't want to miss opportunities to hand in your essays and other stuff like that for your supervisors to give you feedback on. So I really suggest you try to stick to those guidelines. First tip, start as early as possible. So I'm speaking from experience. I started writing my book actually during the summer before it was approved. And I know they say not to start before your project has been approved because it's a possibility that they will say you can't do that project. But I believe it's best to start because, like, why not get a head start? And though I did delete what I had written, I had only written like a chapter, I had a plan, I had plotted out, I had already planned out my plot and what I wanted to happen, and I knew all my characters already, and that was really helpful for that was really helpful in creating my book. The teacher probably didn't start talking to us about the personal project until October, so that already puts you behind, and you never know what's going to happen. So I suggest starting as early as possible, whether or not they tell you that you can do a project. But hopefully you've already evaluated your idea, and you should believe that they will say yes, because it shouldn't be something so far-fetched as trying to go into outer space. And yeah, they should approve it. Like, don't think about what you're asking first. It is a personal project, so don't rely on others. Right, so don't rely on others. Basically, what I mean is don't expect your supervisor to be helping you like a great amount. Like, it is your project, and the supervisors are probably teachers, and they're busy as well, so they won't always be able to help you, and they shouldn't be helping you. I'm like speaking from experience, because that's the best way to speak. And I'm saying, so I had one supervisor at first, and then she decided that she was a librarian. She decided it would be best if she wasn't my supervisor, because then she could help everybody, which I didn't agree with, because that kind of started from having a supervisor, and she would have been a great one. And then a couple weeks later, I got another supervisor, and we didn't even meet that much. So you won't meet your supervisor that much. A great way to stay in touch with them is email, but you need to do things on your own. And not only just doing things on your own, but also you have to be the go-getter. Say you need to meet with someone, go and meet with them. Don't expect them to come to you. Don't expect them to email you. If you need something, you're going to have to go to them. I was talking about this earlier. Be realistic with goals and the amount of time you have to complete them. At first, I wanted to write a full novel. I wanted to write a full novel with, how many words do they have? Like 40,000 words. And later on, I wasn't really taking into account the fact that I have a lot of homework, and that I'd have clubs and all those kind of extra things. And so I wasn't able to write that much. My supervisor was able to say, hey, Samora, you won't be able to do this, and you need to kind of lower your word count a little bit. Yeah, I wanted to write 40,000 words. I ended up writing 21,000. So you have to take that into account, especially if you want to have a great product. You need to know, do you have enough time to create something that you're going to be proud of? And make your goals according to that. Keep looking at the criteria, and keep looking back at the sheets that you were given. So looking back at the criteria will allow you to really stay on task and make sure you're doing the right things, because you don't want to wait until the last minute and then look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't do this. Like, there's a part on there, I was reading it just to make sure that I was meeting all the standards to get the highest grade possible. And it said, met with your supervisor this amount of times. And luckily, I met with them that amount of times, though I would have preferred if I met with them more, but I at least met the minimum amount. And then there's also have a certain amount of entries in your process journal. I had like 40 entries in my process journal. So I was great on that end. And those kind of things, like you want to know, okay, I need to make sure I'm doing this so that I get that grade. So really keep looking back at the criteria, and it will really help you. And then also looking at the sheets you're given. If I didn't look at that sheet, I wouldn't have seen the criteria about posts and all those kind of things. And so it's a really good idea to look at that. Also, your teacher will probably give you a sheet about writing the essay, and that would be a lifesaver because that's what your IB coordinator and your supervisor are going by. So I suggest you follow that, because at one point I was writing based on something I found online, and my teacher's like, no, that's not, it didn't have what she wanted. So I suggest keeping all the papers that you're given, look at them, and yeah, just keep them safe because you will probably need them because there's a reason they gave them to you. Use your process journal. I already said this. It will really come in handy when you're writing your essay. It is also a great place to keep things you're thinking about, and yeah, it's a great place to keep things you're thinking about and just keep information as you're getting it. I also had a Tumblr page, which is where I kept information that I was gathering from other bloggers, because since mine was based on anorexia and other mental illnesses, I was able to go on blogs that were focused on that so that I could really make my book authentic. So really, not only use the process journal, but find other things that will allow you to really put together a great product, like mood boards and that kind of thing, whatever you need to do, Pinterest, to create the best project. Try to start your essay as early as possible. This is something I did not do, and I have a good reason why, which is because I was writing a book, and I didn't think that through, the fact that I was going to write a book, and I also had to write an essay. And that's something you really need to think about and also make time for, because that's really important and that counts for most of your grade. So try to start as early as possible. Like when my teacher would tell me that, I was like, how am I supposed to start as early as possible if my product isn't done yet? But like, there's certain things you can write. You can write about your give me a moment. Yeah, you can write about your sources. You can write about the introduction, why you decided to do this. You can write about your process. Your process might not be finished yet, but you can be writing stuff like that. And there's lots of other sections on the process journal, not the process journal, the essay. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other things you can be writing about. So really do look at that essay plan and see what you can start, and try to start as early as possible because it will help you a lot. Continuously assess your project to make sure you're staying on task. The worst thing that could happen is for you to realize you're not meeting your goal, because like that's basically, as far as I'm concerned, that's failing, because you're not doing what you set out to do. And we want to set out to do what we said we were going to do. And so I really do believe, I was always looking at mine. We had our process journals online, and I would go to it and I'd see, okay, that's my goal. So how am I going to do that? And in January, I realized that I was writing the book, but how would I educate others? Because not everybody's going to want to read a book. Not everybody's a fast reader, and I need to be able to show that I completed my goal. Not only, okay, so yeah, my book would educate some people, but I have to educate people before my project is due. And so what I did was I also created a Prezi, which is a presentation, and that allowed me to go to certain classes and educate them about the mental illnesses and how they should treat people with mental illnesses and what they can do to help. So that was my way of meeting my goal, because I realized, and I wrote about this in my process journal, not everybody's a fast reader and likes to read like I do. So I need to be able to really educate everyone, and that was how I thought, that was the idea I came up with, and it was really good. So really assess your project throughout your process to see if you are staying on time. Make a plan and stick with it, and set yourself reminders. I set myself a to-do list that would remind me on my laptop. I had a to-do list on my phone. I'll leave those I'll leave the apps that I use on my phone if you guys want to check those out. And they were really, really helpful. Because they made me kind of feel bad if I didn't complete it, if I didn't check it off. And I wouldn't set them for the day it was due, maybe a couple of days before, in order to help myself kind of stay on task. And they were also a great way for me to remember maybe to email my supervisor or go and meet with my supervisor. So I really do suggest making a list, having reminders and alarms and to-do lists and all those kind of things, because it will really help you stay on track because you have so much going on. So definitely. All right, so that's all my notes that I've written down. I'm pretty sure you guys probably still have so many more questions, and so feel free to leave comments and questions, and I will answer as best as I can. And yeah, I feel like I feel like this is something I couldn't find when I was doing my personal project, somebody who was maybe talking about it or blogging about it that went through it, that was a student, not a teacher. And I think I'm gonna make a blog, like a section on my blog that talks about the IB and the personal project and all that kind of stuff to really help you guys, and also study tips. So I will leave a link to my blog down there as well. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it so I know what kind of videos to make you guys. Bye!